This is a wonderful choice. Thank you for that. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Cast Revive, your weekly top 5 gaming podcast and more. I'm your host, Matt Heimer, and here with my gorgeous, attractive sidekick co-host, Mr. Brian Husky. He's just taking this track in. I don't know, he's not quite ready to speak yet.
I'm done for the night.
And with us, we have the man that really Walt Disney and Disney World was modeled after, was Mr. Brandon Specht.
Yes, I was born before 1970, 71.
And you actually picked this glorious track. So why don't you tell us real quick before we delve into your personal life, what this amazing track is?
Well, when Matt asked me to pick a Disney track to have played either the intro or the outro, I thought to myself, what is the track that we hated most out of any Disney game we've ever played? And it was, in fact, the intro track from the Little Mermaid game for the Genesis.
It wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't so overbearing. Turn it down a bit. Have it be in the back when it's like, like just sounds like somebody's tapping on the glass. Get me out of here.
The guy who hits that button, it was like his one job. the equivalent of the cowbell sketch from Saturday Night Live.
It really is. Like, listen, it's just brutal. So,
That noise.
we're gonna talk a little bit before we get into.
How are we gonna talk with this thing going?
Yeah. People are gonna be.
I got a
oh
solution to that.
So before we jump into our top 5, which is all about Disney.
Yes.
So we're very excited because Disney's in Florida, and we're wrapping up our Florida month.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're going to talk about our favorite Disney games and things of that nature. Before we do that, we have a very special event coming up in November, which is Free Play Florida.
Yeah, Disney is not the only attraction.
That is
Florida.
right.
See, you're not the only one who can do segues. It's not the only attraction down here in Florida besides the other theme parks. We actually are home to the Florida's largest pinball and arcade convention. That will actually be taking place very close to SeaWorld. And we're going to rent out a whole kind of convention hall, hotel space. And this will be on November 11th, 12th, and 13th. And we rent out this whole convention hall space, and we fill it with basically as many pinball and arcade machines as we can possibly pull from the Florida area, and sometimes outside of
some
the
really
Florida
obscure cabinets and
There's
pinball
some
machines
obscure
that you
ones in there, and then in addition to that, we bring out some really huge names in the field of arcades and pinball. I mean, Jersey Jack's going to be there for those pinball lovers out there. They're coming out. Stern Pinball, the guys who have created a number of really outstanding pinball machines, are going to be there. Mr. Gary Stern himself. We have legends like Todd Rogers, who Matt and I have had a chance to meet a number of times.
Robotron.
Yeah, taught us about Robotron.
Awesome.
Billy Mitchell, the man, the myth, the legend, the hair, the whatever.
If you're into arcade games, you know who this gentleman is.
Walter Day, the official for all things gaming as far as when it comes to the high scores and whatnot.
Twin Galaxies and stuff, right?
Yeah, he used to be a part of Twin Galaxies, and today, he still helps with the records for like Guinness Book of World Records and all those high scores you see on arcade machines and stuff like that. And we've been fortunate enough to see some of these people reach those high scores before, which has been pretty impressive. And other than that, we're going to just have some really outstanding. We're going to have we're talking with Matt and some other friends about running a kind of a scavenger hunt thing. We're going to have a Space Ghost Live where he actually interviews a number of these celebrities.
Awesome.
We're going to have the legendary YouTube man, Keith Apicary.
Yeah. That's gonna be interesting to see how that
YouTube
all pans
personality.
out.
Yeah, and if you don't know who he is, definitely look him up. He's actually going to be driving around the convention hall on his Neo Geo cabinet / cart. It's going to be a drivable Neo Geo cabinet.
That's going to be hilarious.
I wish it was a Segway instead.
I honestly don't know.
That would have been hilarious.
I know it's good. Supposedly it's going to be a moving Neo Geo cabinet. We'll see how this
I
all
wonder if
goes
he's gonna
down.
do a video because the last con he was at, he did that video. He was doing like that weird
We'll
his
see,
his normal trademark dance, like he kind of does everywhere.
We actually we're paying him to come out, and he's gonna. I think he's gonna have a lot of fun. I think he's gonna do some really fun stuff, and
so hopefully he'll like tickle my earlobe or something in the video. That'd be funny.
Brian Colin, the guy who created Rampage, is coming out, which it's Rampage.
Yeah, the game's legit.
So I mean, they've really outdone themselves this year. And other than that, I mean, if you just want to check out some really cool vendors, some of these that I know you guys are friends with, and just great local talented people coming out. It's one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite community event in the Florida area. I mean, I am involved with a lot of different groups, but these people at Free Play Florida, if you guys are free, check us out on Facebook, Free Play Florida. If you're free and you're in the Florida area on November 11th, 12th, or the 13th, come on out, play arcade games, old school arcade games, play pinball games,
tournaments,
all
everything.
day tournaments.
Cool.
We're also going to have consoles out there. We're going to have. It is going to be a huge fun time for all your friends and your family.
Rock and roll, dude! I'm excited. I'm fired up.
Yeah,
fired up to play some free Florida.
And Cast Revive's going to be there. So
we are.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Even better.
Yeah.
I was already gonna go. So.
Nice.
So you have to still.
I
buy
guess
your
I'll go
ticket.
twice.
Just kidding. But yeah, you guys are going to be out there in Geek Street Station, so we're very excited. This is the first year these guys are attending with us. We're going to be setting up a whole bunch of a lot of interviews. So if you guys can't make it out to the event, those listeners at home, you'll have a chance to hear what Cast Revive is going to present from the event.
You know it. I'm going to do my trademark screw up as I always do. So it's going to be exciting.
Does he have a trademark screw up at this point? I thought it was just.
It's called my life. Got him.
Oh God!
Did you say trademark scrub? Like pair of scrubs?
Screw up.
Screw up.
Yeah.
When I think of Matt's life, I just think of
Like the word.
Wow.
Good example.
I think the intro track to Little Mermaid is a metaphor for Matt's life.
It's just me pounding my head on the table.
Does that count as dubstep?
Maybe it's early dubstep. But by the way,
that's really what dubstep originated was the Little Mermaid. Oh God.
We should say
Felix is like, wait.
The NES version of Little Mermaid is much more pleasurable. It's the Capcom version, much more pleasurable. But the Genesis version, I don't think we've tried to play it before. I don't think we got past the first board because it's not even that it's a bad game. That sound.
You have to mute the TV.
You'd have to mute the TV.
It's really bad.
I guess we could have done that.
Yeah.
I guess we could have gave the game a chance.
Instead of just quitting the game.
And tossing the game.
It's like you unfollow friends on Facebook. You don't unfriend them because then they know.
I was just having this conversation with somebody today. I'm like, it's so easy to unfollow people now. Like, and even if you just get bored with them, right? That's horrible.
I'm just going to close my Facebook. I'm just going to become full-time Twitter.
I still follow you.
Oh, nice.
Well, I mean,
I post once a month, and it's about Cast Revive, so I don't really put personal stuff on the page anymore.
As I said, your life is the Little Mermaid track. So I want to follow this. I just want to put it on mute.
What train wreck is going to happen this week for Heimdall? So before we jump into our top five, looks like we got 2 items on our news beat. News beat. I'm working on some new
Is that a new track? Or has he done that before?
What he just did now?
Yeah.
That was a soundbite. That was a soundbite, yeah.
What Matt just did now was a soundbite.
Just a soundbite.
It's inserted in him?
Yeah. I just kicked him under the table and he says it.
Yeah. I'm not going to ask where that USB goes. I'm not going to ask.
So what do we got on the beat of news?
Why don't you read it?
We got Firewatch game being adapted into a movie.
Yeah. That's cool, right? Did you ever play Firewatch?
No. I never played it.
I don't even know anything about it.
Okay. Well, it's a game about a person in the Firewatch, which is like the forest rangers that prevent fires and stuff. And it's like a little mystery. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
The guy from Mad Max, Rich Sommer, did the voice for the main character.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it's all like you never see anybody really. It's just the guy that you play, like from first person, talking to somebody on a walkie.
Oh, okay.
So very cool mystery.
Nice.
Very neat art.
I hope
Very
it's as
fun
good
game.
as Battleship the movie. I didn't see that movie.
It'll probably just, I'm going to say this, be better than Battleship the movie.
As long as Smokey the Bear makes an appearance. Only you can fight forest fires with your walkie.
He didn't in the game, but there is like a ranger.
I hope
is
Smokey
like a
shows up and he says,
Oh,
"You
nice.
sunk my battleship.
You sunk my battleship.
Crossover game.
Only you can sink my battleship."
Just turns into a real weird 70s porno.
Oh, what?
Wow.
Right? Isn't that where we're going?
Matt's like, they're taking this in a whole different direction.
Again,
I'm
like
gonna
I
show
said,
them.
strange
I'm gonna
things
show
that
them.
War
happen.
and love, Matt.
Yeah.
It's two.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show them.
It's typical me making no
Yeah.
sense as usual.
He thinks they're weird. I'm gonna show them.
So looking forward to Planet Coaster.
Planet Coaster is like a theme park building game. Like I'm
Ooh.
excited to have a new one of those because of all
Nice.
the physical improvements.
How will this one stand out from like other ones? I've enjoyed them.
It looks bigger and
Yeah.
it looks like easier to do. Like the last one I can really think of is Roller Coaster Tycoon, which is kind of.
It's
but
really
this-
going to let
this
you
looks
like
really good.
angles and really like be
Yes,
as specific
so
as
like,
you
get
want.
to like draw the track basically instead of like put straight track, turn track. You know.
yeah.
Oh, neat.
Just
Yeah.
put like 12 loops in a row, and it's like, all right, this coaster rules.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
it's called Planet Coaster. Maybe they're gonna let you do other rides too.
That'd be
Like those
cool.
Viking ships that people throw up on. Like it goes upside down, they throw up, and then you swing right
and
into
it hits
it.
them right in the face.
Yeah.
Not again.
Yeah,
Nice.
be pretty
I
cool.
like it.
Is that supposed to come out this year or?
November 17,
Nice.
16.
Right around the corner.
Free
So right-
advertisement for Planet Coaster.
Maybe
So
we'll-
right after you get done with Free Play Florida, just
Yeah.
buy Planet Coaster
Planet
because
Coaster.
the two go hand in.
And we'll do a fireside chat about it. There we
Yeah.
go.
Free Play Florida is in Florida where there are lots of roller coasters, and,
And
Planet
we're
Coaster
right-
has
we're right
lots of roller
by
coasters. And you're
SeaWorld.
right by SeaWorld, which has roller coasters.
Has those, I don't remember what
And
they're called.
fish.
But
See, everything comes together.
Yeah.
Everything.
forcibly. It's
This-
like two. It's a Lego block and a Lincoln log that we just forced together.
And it's amazing that you mentioned SeaWorld because SeaWorld has a lot of water, which has to do with the underwater stage that was released in Rocket League. Look at that. See that?
Oh my gosh!
It's like the Triforce.
play the Little Mermaid track again.
Let me find it.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. So I haven't played it yet, but I heard it has been released, I believe, already.
Okay.
That I need to check out. But there's an underwater stage. So I'm guessing you're in like kind of like a dome with like I wish like your cars actually be like submarines and you'd be like going around
Yeah.
hitting them. That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
But I need to check that out because I was very big in the Rocket League, and now I'm very big back in Overwatch again.
See, all three of the news articles were Florida themed. 'Cause
Yeah.
You have forest fires in Florida, notoriously.
That's true.
Underwater rocket cars in Florida.
True.
And Planet Coaster roller coasters in Florida. So.
See, all this stuff is planned.
Oh, and number 4 was Chris Metzen left Blizzard, which I'm super excited
Oh,
about.
yeah, that's right. Remember
And we
you
have,
saying
and
that?
we have blizzards in Florida all the
And
time.
we have blizzards in Florida, and Chris Metzen is not from Florida.
Maybe he was born
So,
in Florida?
Can I ask just again? This is from an outsider. What's so exciting about him leaving?
He's like the creative director for all of the popular games right now, so him leaving will freshen up the games, I hope.
Oh, cool.
I hope.
Oh, neat.
And plus, he'll get to do stuff that he really wants to do, which if you're like one of the founding members of a startup company and you leave it, shows that you really don't want to do what you were doing.
So
Yeah.
So like the last Blizzard game I played was the Death and the what was it? The Death and Return of Superman for Super Nintendo. So will they freshen up that?
Was
franchise?
that a Blizzard game?
Yeah, it was.
Was it really?
Yes.
that was the last game I played
I'm
by
just kidding.
Blizzard.
By the way, I've definitely played other ones.
No, but it's true. I mean, it gives other people a chance to step up, give some new ideas to the game, take it in a new direction. But he did the voice of Thrall, right? And some other people he said.
Yeah.
So he'll still have his hands in it. You know, you'll still hear his voice and stuff, but he won't have like total creative control on the stuff. So that's kind of interesting for a game that is, especially for World of Warcraft. That is like, where do you go from here?
Now-
you need like a fresh perspective on
Now,
it.
did he
So
do the voice in like the movie too?
I think
He wasn't a character in the movie. Thrall was just a little babby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that movie made like a buttload of money, right?
Yeah.
It was really
Very
good.
cool to see that.
Yeah, I have the digital
You know,
download
and
of it.
he had his hands in that too. He's
Yeah.
the creative director for that, but
Yeah.
maybe that's why the elves look so stupid.
Okay.
But
The elf eels were a little out of control.
I didn't see anything about it. I know it didn't do the best review wise, but it made a buttload of money worldwide.
It was a fun movie. It was a
Yeah.
very fun movie.
Yeah, it
Made
was.
a lot of money.
If you're not a World of Warcraft fan, you'll go into be like, I don't get it. But playing World of Warcraft and you see all the little things they had in there, it's like, wow, this was actually.
Would you say this movie was more about fan service then, or
For sure.
Yeah.
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 Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes we don't cater. I think films don't cater enough to fans. And that's a problem as well.
They had a lot of little Easter eggs and stuff in there. If you played the game, it's like, oh, like I got so giddy at like certain
So basically,
points.
when you saw it and the reviewers didn't like it, you were like, "This isn't for you. This is for me."
Yeah, same thing with Avatar, right? Because it's like a 3D movie, before it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like it's a horrible plot and like stupid characters, but it's a good,
but
visual. It's very pretty.
It is very pretty. It's like
and it inspired a theme park.
Yeah.
Good Disney theme park.
And by the way, should be a very beautiful theme park.
I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
The thing that they're building on the outside of the Animal Kingdom looks massive.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it.
Can you imagine just when you hit? Now, right now it looks a little wonky. Obviously, you have these pillars with these. With these tubes holding giant rocks.
Yeah.
But when they actually have it where there's like water pouring off of them, and you can actually really
look really cool.
You can make that extension in your imagination where this is like, oh, this is a real thing. That's going to be pretty cool.
I hope they can tame some of those like dragon bugs to fly around.
That'd be awesome. I want to be picked up and fly around.
So there is just jumping over the Disney thing. There is Disney technology they're developing now with drones.
Yeah,
where they can fly things around. There's been some interesting ideas they've had for that. So I suppose if the drone thing takes off for them, they could.
Please let me see your job posting. We need drone controllers to come in. Yeah. Your whole job is just to fly those things around.
They could do the Hoth thing, the Hoth drone, like have him buzzing around. That'd be bad. Looking for Chewbacca.
Yeah, I forget some of the stuff. They've talked about some really, really cool things. Like they could, have some actual flying characters and stuff like that via the drones and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting.
Smells like burped. I'm sorry.
So it'll be interesting to see. Like always, I think that's going to be one of the interesting things with the Avatar stuff is just seeing all the new technology that comes with it, and with anything they're building. I mean, I'm excited. This weekend, I'm going to go up to Disney to check out the Muppets are coming to Liberty Square, and they're going to have all these new animatronic characters that talk about like American history and stuff. It's
really?
So corny, but I love to see how they add these new technologies to the park and stuff like that.
A lot of cool toys at Disney, and they tell a story. Don't they?
Is he segueing to something?
I think he's segueing.
Are we going into the music? Is that what we're doing?
No. We're not going to play any Randy Newman on here.
Wait a sec. Why not?
You've got a friend in me.
Because Matt can sing it so well.
You've got a friend in me.
This is so bad. I'm trying to do it worse, and I don't know if I can. What's a bug? Hardly dare. Little bug. Not so buggy. This music that came up too at the same time is kind of good.
Just somebody being deflated. This is great.
It's a sad tugboat. No
so our top 5 begins with Brian's first choice.
Matt's trying to rush us.
No, I'm not. Because I was trying to catapult off of that awesome segue momentum that we had there. And I want people to be like, where were they going with this? And it's like, we're going into like,
one of the worst Disney games I ever played, Toy Story for the Super Nintendo.
Whoa!
It was bad.
There's a lot of people who liked that one, but it was hard.
It was
too hard.
It was hard, and it didn't look as pretty as the movie, which is like my favorite. Like I was 13 when it came out.
And it was hard,
It was very punishing. That race car level where you're like driving around all the toys and like you hit Buzz and the battery like shot out and then you had to chase the battery.
It's almost a little.
You could also run out of the battery.
It's almost a little bit Battletoads-ish.
No, it's not.
Well, no,
Matt tells me horror stories about Battletoads.
I'm talking about the racing. You got the car and stuff like that. There's a whole section in Battletoads where it's all the. So it's like if you lose,
dodging stuff.
It sucks because you're going to have to do pretty much everything over again.
Yeah.
Any game that like involves miniatures and like driving is always extra hard for me. Like Micro Machine games, like stuff like that. Just like for some reason the perspective changed. I was like, I'm looking at all the big things in the background, never paying attention to the road. Yeah. So kind of like real life.
That's the way I am with pinball. Like when people are trying to teach me they're like, "Oh, you're into pinball now, so you should learn how to play." I'm like, "Nope, I'm just gonna watch the lights do the funny thing."
you just watch the lights and just do this the whole time.
Yeah, and they get mad at me. It's like, you play your way, I'll play mine.
Olivia played her first pinball game at Contemporary this weekend. Yeah, she played Pirates of the Caribbean. So
almost made my list.
Nice.
That pinball art machine.
Nice. She did okay too.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, she earned an extra life. So
how do you do well in pinball? Is it just numbers?
There is a technique to it, and again, you'd have to be really into it. I love the visuals of pinball machines. They just came out with a new Ghostbusters pinball machine
with the ladies.
No. It's an old school one, but the art is phenomenal.
Yeah,
and it came out with multiple different versions of it, and it's just beautiful. So again, I get stuck on as we said before, it might not be for all I know, it could be a horrible pinball game, but so beautiful,
I like the 3D stuff they do.
I believe they got a Batman 60, 60s Batman, Adam West and all that stuff, pinball machine that's in development right now. That should be pretty
nice,
pretty beautiful. So, yeah,
very cool.
But nothing Disney related. Crap.
It's okay.
That'll be maybe at Free Play, and Free Play's in Florida, so kind of all ties in. So did they do any more Toy Story games for Super Nintendo?
I think they did a second one. Yeah. I really think they did a second one, but I gave up after stage 5 of the first one.
This game is just garbage.
It was a disappointment. That's why I put it on the list, because you have something like the movie, which is so awesome,
right?
And then you have a video game, which should basically follow the same principle as the movie, because they're both
that's
computer programs. But
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
One is just awful.
One's awful. Yeah,
it's such a letdown.
Yeah.
My wife used to be really into Toy Story racing.
Toy Story Racing?
For, I think, the PlayStation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, you had a PlayStation, you didn't have an N64, so you had to make up for the fact you didn't have Mario
you
Kart.
have the Bad Racers. The Crash Bandicoot racing game. And
that's true. You had that. And
we did get the Final Fantasy one, though.
Chocobo Racing.
Chocobo Racing.
Which it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then you had the Star Wars Pod Racers.
That was PlayStation 2. That was awful. Yes. And it was actually one of the first games coming out for it. Yeah, there's a lot of... When you don't have a Nintendo system, you do have to make up for it.
Yeah. I never played it, so.
The only note I have in this about the game is that Woody dances at the end of each level.
Ooh.
And I did not feel any joy when he was dancing. I was just like,
this is kind of creepy.
The board?
No, because it took me so long. It took me 3 hours to finish one level because they don't give you any direction.
Right.
You have a lasso thing that's just useless. Because when I'm playing a video game, I'm used to okay, I use an attack, it's going to kill this thing, and it's out of my way forever.
Yeah.
Not Woody. Nope. He just
Woody.
taps an airplane, and the airplane's like, oh, I can't fly straight. Oh, but now I can. And
he's like Batman. He can't kill anybody.
Well, you don't kill your toys, right?
Well, Sid does. Well, no, he kind of...
Sid does.
Frankenstein.
Wood doesn't... Wood.
Wood. Well, you're...
Sheriff D. Wood.
you're pretty close with him. Yeah, I think you can call him Wood.
My boy Wood.
We're like
he
this.
Don't kill toys.
Me and my boy Wood.
That's all I have to say about that.
Well, that's a good way to start it off.
Negative.
No, I mean, to be fair, he started his list with the one he had probably the least to say about.
Which is why it was your number 5 and not number 1, And my number 5 is also off of a movie, which is Tron Deadly Discs, out for the Intellivision.
Oh, well played, sir.
It was.
He's always earning that retro street cred.
I think it would say that it was definitely my first Disney game played. So, very simple mechanic. You play a dude named Tron. He was in yellow, and you had 8 directions you could throw discs in, and ultimately you were just throwing them at enemies, trying to get high score. Yeah. There was no board advancement. It was just how long can you last against the onslaught of all these guys, and there's really not much to say about it. But it was pretty interesting because they came out with some when they made the Neutron. They came out with the Neutron game. That game,
the Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron.
See that? Yeah.
Nickelodeon. Sorry.
And in the game, they kind of gave a little nod to the Intellivision version. There's a little screen that has it playing on it. So it was kind of neat to see that,
they know what they did wrong.
Yeah.
Now, was it
this game?
So now, give me the name of the Tron game again.
Tron Deadly Discs.
So was it this? Was that the same type of thing as the one for the arcade, or because I know there's 2 Tron games for the arcade?
I believe this was different than the arcade
because there was a Tron.
There were 2 Tron games.
Looked like a licensed movie.
And I can't remember.
The one on the arcade is different because that one's very difficult.
Yeah.
This one not so much.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you literally it's just like Pong. You're bringing your guy up and down and then you just throwing disc in different directions.
Yeah.
And that's it. It wasn't terribly difficult, but it was fun. I mean, back then when you had that limited, hardware to do stuff, you're like, oh, I love Tron. This is so awesome. Now I can kind of play in that kind of zone, and so interesting for the time what they could do. And like I said, my first Disney game was. So that's why I had to be put on there. It wasn't groundbreaking anyway, but it was my first introduction to those kind of into Disney games, and it put a smile on my face. And smiles are the most important thing.
Above all else.
Above all else. If you're not smiling, then you're not living. And if you're not living,
better get busy
then
smiling.
Then you're bug food.
Or get busy bug food.
Or get busy bug food.
Get bug food.
Favorite line from Shawshank Redemption.
It's a shame. It's a shame that the next game wasn't Bug's Life. That'd have been a great segue.
Morgan
Dang
Freeman.
But we should. He's gonna start retconning his list based on what's easiest to segue.
I'm just gonna improv my list. Yeah, there we go.
And next, because I said the word bug.
Bug. So so that was my number 5.
It's good.
I think we both had a good start.
Tron is a good movie.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer in his prime.
Yeah. Val Kilmer was legit. His name was Sam in that movie, I think, right?
Samwise.
Samwise Gamgee. I don't like to be tripping the verb.
Totally forgot who was in the original Tron.
By the way, we just had Hobbit Day like a week ago or something.
What
like
is
that,
Hobbit Day?
It's Bilbo's and Frodo's birthday because they were born on the same day, just different years. I think it's September 22nd or something like that. Did anyone remember to sit down and watch the movie? Like any of the Lord of the Rings? Anything?
No.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
We all sucks. I probably should have.
There's a chance I would have just done it naturally, without realizing.
Well, that's what I mean. I guess that's what I was kind of hoping for. That's kind of what I was hoping for, but oh well.
Now that I have my 20-minute Gimli video, it's just a compilation of all the Gimli scenes from all 3 movies. Like, I don't need to watch the.
I don't need to watch the rest of these pops.
Possible birthday present for Brian. We made you something.
There you go.
Oh,
Blu-ray.
You probably would appreciate it, though.
I would appreciate
and
that.
And the intro is actually from the John Rhys Davies himself. Like, this is for Brian. This is all my stuff.
Hello, Brian. I really hated this role, so I'm glad you enjoyed it. Off to my slidey tube.
Wow, this is really...
And then it just cuts to him and Indiana Jones, and that's it. You're like, what?
I like how the impression got consecutively better, too.
The slider portal opens and it's Solo.
I am so impressed by how they got better.
Segues, I love them.
Bad dates.
I feel like that was the opposite of a segue because that actually took us off topic.
It did.
If John Rhys Davies is listening, we need to get him as a guest on the podcast. That'd be amazing.
I love retro video games.
He might be a voice in some of the games we talk about that we just don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's done voiceover work for a game.
He did the voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Segue.
In Kingdom Hearts.
Nice. Is that segue into our number 4?
I cannot
It
reach
doesn't.
the honey. You'll
It
have
doesn't
to toss
really.
me.
But your number 4 is Clutch.
My number 4 is a mouse,
Yes.
which Winnie the Pooh is not.
But he likes mice.
He does
Maybe.
like mice.
Maybe.
His best friend's a mouse.
His best friend's a pig.
That knows a pig. I'm going to shut up.
It's Mickey Mousecapade. It's
Mickey
my number 4.
It's a good game. Very fun game.
I used to play this game when I was left at a daycare.
Yeah, short game, but just hard enough to convince you it's not as short as it actually is.
Yeah.
Long
It's
game
hard.
for 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a great game.
And then I was telling Brian the other day, and we were talking about how you could exploit some of the boss battles by getting Minnie up top.
2 of them.
If you were,
Yeah.
if you're getting up the ladder and she won't get hit, so she's like, you can't hit a girl.
But she made the wow. She made the rest of the game like horrible for you because
When
if
you
she went
needed
down
it,
a pit, Mickey Mouse would just like
That's true.
he just like kills himself
but
because
that's-
Minnie died.
But that's why, quote unquote, cheating or exploiting in that manner seems more than fair considering how just horrible she is in the rest of the game.
I wish there was like a call button, like, hey, Minnie, let's go. Like,
Well,
get up here.
like one of the stage ends is like Mickey runs up to the sign and he like looks at it and he looks back. He's like, Minnie, get over here!
It's true.
Mickey.
He's like,
No,
Yeah.
wiggling the fingers.
that was actually this is one of the few Mousecapades is one of the few games I actually have in box, and I actually picked it up when me and Matt were in Tampa
Yeah.
doing some work for a video game
For M&M Games.
store
Yeah.
over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun,
Yeah, that was cool.
mostly because I walked away with games.
And I got a Sega
Always
Master
good.
System out
And
of
he
it.
got a Sega
Yeah.
Master System,
That's clutch.
and all I got was Mickey Mousecapades.
But
I actually have a shirt too that says my
All
buddy
I got
my
was-
buddy got a Sega Master System,
And all I got was
this
Mickey
Mickey Mousecapade.
But you got it in box.
But I have him, and then on the back it says, "But it's in box."
Yeah.
I didn't realize it when I was a kid, but the part I love about this game the most is that it ends with Alice from Alice in
It
Wonderland.
does. Yeah.
And now that I'm looking back at it, I was just like, why didn't you just put fucking Minnie in the box?
Yeah.
Like, why did you just solve all the problems and
it's
take mini.
It's a weird game too because in Japan they have different villains, the end bosses than us.
Do they really?
And there are other different Disney characters.
Like it's not Maleficent?
They're like, the American market wouldn't want this character, so they gave us a different one.
That's really strange.
Yeah.
Because it's like some unknown fat lady in the beginning, right? Is it supposed to be the witch from Sword in the Stone?
It's kind of like the old hag. It's kind of like the witch. It's kind of like the evil queen turns into a witch in Snow White. Kind of, sort of.
Kind of.
I don't know if it's actually supposed to be her, but it's
TikTok didn't look like TikTok either.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think. TikTok was only the American version, and then
okay.
It's just really interesting how that's. I mean, where do you think those decisions are made? Where it's just like, you know what, it's for the American market, let's switch it up. Let's just do this. They like alligators better.
Better than what? What's the other option?
Yeah.
What's the giant snake? Where's that come from?
And now, unfortunately, Disney is doing its best to hide alligators wherever they can at the parks, just because
of course.
their unfortunate incident that they had. I'm sorry. I just totally just brought the podcast down.
Yeah.
People were actually talking about that on the monorail on the trip. Some guy was screaming about it. I was just like, it's an accident, man. Like
they've made some changes, and it's good that Disney is a company that these big companies, we can see them as kind of heartless, but it's good that they keep that stuff in mind when they make their changes. Like,
yeah, I mean, people who come from Texas might not know that there's gators in every single lake in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
absolutely.
if I go out there, I'm not like, let me see what lives in every body of water in every state that I go to. I don't think to do that kind of
absolutely
research.
every body of water.
Let
here.
alone at Disney. You don't think that, but it was
interesting
just a tragic
to see,
accident.
It was interesting to see all the signage up now, too.
Well, and all those poor alligator actors got put out of work. I mean, what are they going to do?
Different character.
It's all.
I'm a fox now.
It's still the alligator costume. It's just got fox ears on.
Who let the fox out?
Oof, oof, oof.
Wrong song.
It's what the fox
That's what the fox say.
Oh, there we go.
I get you.
I hate myself. That's an interesting.
Beep, 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 beep.
Going back to
Little Mermaid.
Going back to Little Mermaid.
Going back to Little Mermaid.
So we're not going to steer away from Disney. We're not going to steer away from Magic Kingdom because I'm bringing us in to the park.
Ooh.
Like
I'm just
like turkey leg deep into the park because my game number 4, Adventures in Magic Kingdom on the NES.
I can't believe he just coined the phrase "turkey deep."
Turkey legs were a food menu.
We're going deep.
Food item on the menu at the Harry Potter thing.
Oh, nice.
That's not Disney.
Bad
Who's
choice.
this guy?
Sorry, I represent Universal Studios.
Why is John Rhys Davis? Why is John Rhys Davis representing?
There were so
Universal?
many people eating turkey legs at Disney over the weekend.
Yeah,
I mean, literally everybody. I was like, was there like a sale or something? And I was
Thanksgiving's a coming.
It was unbelievable.
Thanksgiving.
I mean, I'm used to seeing like maybe a dozen people, but literally in one day I maybe saw 50 people.
They jacked up the prices on those too.
It's like $11.50.
Oh yeah, so
It's like 14.
turkey legs have the price of turkey legs are always going up. They
but
go up
they
more
always
than parking.
look so good.
Yeah,
It was like at least it's a decent sized turkey leg.
Yeah.
You're not getting like a wing,
For sure.
But yeah, I agree. So Adventures in Magic Kingdom,
Shorter game. Than
shorter
Mickey
game,
Mouse Capade.
but
How many turkey legs are in it?
I think
you-
0. I
Wow.
don't think
At
they.
last
I don't
count-
think turkeys were invented.
At last
in
count,
this
it
game.
was 0. At last count, it was 0. Yeah, but it might have changed since then.
So like in this game, you got to like go on different rides, do different quests,
Right.
and it was hard. The hardest being Space Mountain. I
Yeah.
thought that was you had to shoot all that stuff in the dark, and it was just very, very frustrating. But you had there was a Peter Pan style ride too as well, right?
It was,
you had to,
and it was
you
a
had
lot
to-
of different kinds of gameplay. I mean, there was
Yeah.
side scrolling, and then there was. I mean, it's a weird game in the sense like they have lots of different game styles, but they don't fully develop any one of them, and it ends up being a really short game.
Yeah.
But super hard. But it was definitely one like it was exciting to purchase just because it was like I went to Disney World, now I can relive it.
Yeah.
on my NES.
Did they sell it in the parks?
I bet they did back in the day.
I'm sure they did.
That
Yeah.
would have been kind of neat.
I'd be surprised if they did.
Because it feels the game itself. I would say feels very much like
You can't leave the park without buying this. Only $70.
and this.
Yeah. I love
Your
it.
kid doesn't have Mickey
You
ears.
put your
don't love
NES
them.
cartridge through that machine that like presses the pennies. Giant oval, like.
What is this?
Why did I do that?
That's awesome.
souvenir game.
But the cool thing about the game as well is it wasn't just like you had quests and stuff you could do too.
Yeah.
Like when you got into like, you gotta help me find my dog. She got lost over at the latrines. So you had to go and like go find the dog, and I was like, oh, that's great. Bark, bark, bark. Find Mickey. And then
Back
you go,
when they had latrines
Yeah.
at Disney. Just two boards they put together.
Every time I say that word as well, it reminds me of Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like you change your name to latrine. Yeah, it used to be shithouse.
It's true.
Sorry, just I had to say it. Everybody listening is now laughing.
Someday they'll
I
make a
guarantee
sequel.
it.
Someday they'll make a sequel to that movie.
Better.
And speaking of Robin Hood, Brian's next game is not Disney's Robin Hood.
Whoa!
I want to get on the bad segues.
If that was a game and I played it, it would be on this list probably. That's one of my favorite movies.
Robin Hood Men in Tights. That movie's absolutely hilarious.
No. Disney's Robin Hood.
Oh,
It's one of my favorite Disney
Oh,
movies.
Also one of
absolutely.
your favorite
No,
Disney
absolutely.
movies,
Yeah, it's one of mine as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a shame. That's surprising that they didn't
Didn't want.
Make a video game?
make a video game. I mean, they have a performance like every other Disney
They do.
movie.
I mean, Pinocchio has a Super Nintendo game.
I was very surprised that Pinocchio had a game.
Yeah. And
That was startling.
It's a good-looking game. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we have that one. But, yeah, there's a bunch of weird ones where you're like, how did this get a game?
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's one on my list that's like that, but
75 years after the release of the movie, we finally have a video game.
pretty much.
Is it because it's coming out-
PS4 like Robin Hood?
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. They do it cell shaded, stuff like that. I could see it happening. So if Disney wants to contact us about ideas for games,
They're like,
Go ahead.
hey, we want to contact you about an idea you had for one of the IPs we already own.
we would totally do a fireside chat on it. So
God.
definitely promote it. So.
And why did you want to contact us? What are your ideas? Oh, we actually didn't want to say anything to you. We just want to let you know we're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
And we're not going to involve you in any way, shape, or form.
That's how it works,
Oh.
right? Isn't that how business works?
We went back to Disney being the evil corporation.
We love Disney. Right?
I like it. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just make
You
sure
know, I
I'm
love it.
doing
I've spent way too much money at that.
You can easily spend a buck a dime at that place. You
I
know?
spend a buck a dime. I got nothing else for that. A buck a dime is
What does that mean?
I don't even know. It's just me. It's my brain literally.
what you
like-
would normally spend a dime on. You have to spend a buck on
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
for Disney.
Yeah. But that sounds actually pretty accurate. It's like go to Walmart, buy a pack of gum for a penny. You go to Disney, you're spending like
Yeah.
$35.
Yes.
But
Haven't you
it
ever
is
heard that
Disney.
phrase, buck a dime?
it is Disney gum. Usually peppermint, good stuff. You
They're
know,
like it's fruit stripe. We just put Mickey's face on it.
fruit stripe gum.
They put the admission stamp on the gum.
It's just the ink from that. Like, oh man,
This
is
just
filthy.
This just demonstrated how long it's been since Brian's been to the park. They still use admission stamps. They're like, we used to
back
cook it
in
for-
my
they
day.
used to- back when I
You bring in all your aluminum cans and you get one day at the park.
You're just dragging in trash bags full of cans.
every 3 sticks of gum you eat,
All the
you
bums.
get an e-ticket,
The place
and
is
then you
just-
can pick one of the e-ticket rides.
There's
to
no
go
more
on.
Disney dollars, right? They got rid of
They
them?
got rid of that too.
Yeah, and they got rid of Disney bucks. Funny money.
Everything's done through the wristband.
The wristband now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then soon implanted into our eyeballs.
It's true. You can just get a tattoo of it
I wouldn't
on your
doubt it.
face.
I wouldn't doubt it. It's coming.
It's coming. It's a coming.
It's
Can you imagine like your skin with all the different chips that you have to have, like all the different corporate chips.
Yep.
Oh, you're buying this? Scan your right cheek on this. All right, thank you.
I'm out of room.
You got to buy some bread. Yeah, just spread the cheeks. We're gonna put it right there. All right, thanks, guys. Number 3 on the list.
Didn't even bother with the segue.
I really would have gotten
From
pretty-
butt
pretty-
to heart, Kingdom Hearts.
All right.
Hey.
The very, very, very fun mashup game.
This is my number 1 until I remembered a few things.
I like the game, but not so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you remembered a few things about the game, or you remembered some other game?
I didn't like any
Okay.
of the stages
Which one? The first one?
in the first one.
Yeah, I agree. I like the second one, the stages on the second one better.
Although they went to more places that I liked in the first one.
But you
'Cause,
know
like, they
it's-
went to Wonderland, they went to Halloween Town.
Yeah.
And, you know,
And Tarzan, you love Tarzan.
I did despise Tarzan.
See,
though.
so there you go.
So-
What I was thinking was, what's interesting about the second one, I feel like they kept a lot of the boards that everyone really likes for the second one. So
For
like,
sure.
Neverland actually, not only does Neverland show up, it's more than just a boat.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
like in the first
exactly.
game, it's like, hey, you're going to the Neverland. Actually, you're just going to hang out on Hook's
Just on the
boat the
Hook's
whole
boat.
time. So they actually extended that, you know.
I like the little mini games you could do on the ship, the gummy ship
gummy
or whatever.
ship, like
I
building
thought
your ship.
that was kind of cool. So I never played the second one. I went through the first one.
Gummy ships was one of those things that improved so much for the second one. Like, you know, it got to a point on the first one where you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Exactly.
You know? It's one and done with each of the gummy ship levels. But on the one after that, it became more like a rail shooter for the second one, and just made it so much more fun. I spent hours on that one in the second one.
That's good.
So, but the main installments for that series, easy to say those are the most fun installments. I've played some of the other ones. They're okay, like the 3DS. And,
Yeah, I never did anything past 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean they're okay. I've recently just played the HD version of what is it, Birth by Sleep, which is the one that came out for PSP.
Right.
And that one I will say is closest in quality to the other games.
Okay.
But again, it was for PSP, so
They probably did that because they're going to be releasing 3 soon, right?
yeah, they keep releasing like Kingdom Hearts 1.5, Kingdom Hearts 2.5,
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 2.8. We're really close to 3. We swear, guys. That's what the next one's gonna be.
Yeah.
We're really close to having a third game.
That's just what it's called.
Kingdom Hearts. We're this close.
Almost there.
So.
Well, I know you said you weren't really a big fan of the boards, but do you have a particular board that was your favorite in that game? Would it be Alice or?
It's hard to it's splitting hairs, but it's between Alice in Wonderland and Nightmare Before Christmas, like Halloween Town.
Yeah.
Because at the time, those are my 2 Disney movies, you know.
Right.
But I just liked all the stuff that they did just for the game. So you had Traverse Town. And the Heartless. The design of the Heartless is really cool. It actually influenced my drawings a lot. And then the way that they depicted the Final Fantasy characters that we hadn't seen done that well before was just great.
Yeah.
That was the only thing, like I said, I just played Birth by Sleep. The only thing I didn't like about that one as much, not nearly as many Final Fantasy characters. Matter of fact, there's only the Moogles because they are there as shopkeepers. They've been there since the first one. And then Zack is the only other. Zack Fair is the only other character inside Birth. It's a prequel, so maybe that's why they went with Zack, because he's like
before he dipped.
Yeah, before he dipped.
It's just so weird because in Kingdom Hearts, the Final Fantasy characters are
it's like the main world, really.
They're the fan fiction. There's they call them something. I can't remember what it's called, but they're the characters that essentially know all the Disney characters when you come into this world,
right?
And they tell you what's going on.
Yeah. So they show up in Traverse Town, and then they show up in...
For them to diminish that role, in later games, is just really weird. And they started replacing everyone with the, Kingdom Hearts, just robed people that all had their own Keyblades.
Yeah. I will tell you that... What was
13, isn't that what they were called, or something? The 12, the...
the organization.
The organization 13.
That was a couple of characters that they created for the series, which were cool characters and kind of Final Fantasy-esque. But it's not just Final Fantasy characters either, though. The Dream Drop Distance, which came out for the 3DS, actually had the World Ends With You characters in it, which is a very interesting game that Square
It's a fun
created.
game.
Yeah,
though.
it's a very unique, very interesting game.
And it looked like it was the same character designer for both games.
Oh, really? Yeah. And they brought in a lot of those characters. It's very, very cool that, they're like, hey, we're going to make Disney games, and we're going to bring in our characters because we can do that.
Did they have any other than 7 characters? Did they take any from any other Final Fantasy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, tons.
Yeah.
In the second one especially, the first one, the first one only had 7, 8, and 10.
Yeah.
So, you start at an island with Waka and Tidus.
That's right.
And Selphie from 8, and then you go to Traverse Town, and it's Yuffie. Not sure why they do this, but they call Squall Leon and Aerith. And it was the first time you're getting to hear these people.
Yeah. And it's weird because the Disney characters are very loyal to their actual stories.
Yes,
the
but the Final Fantasy characters become... And that's what I was trying to say. There's this concept in fan fiction where you, take your character and you're well, he already knows everyone at Hogwarts, so...
Right,
right.
So you like that concept? I mean, I'm not partial.
I don't like that concept, but it's what they did, and they did it pretty well.
Yeah.
For them to come in and be like, "Oh, we're gonna go fight Kefka," and then this guy's like, "Well, we gotta go rescue Dumbo. So which is it?" They have to push one side or the other.
Yeah.
And for a Disney-centric game, it's fine that they took a
poor Dumbo.
Because I always thought that would be neat. I always thought it'd be neat if they were They were more about their original characters. But on the flip side, some of the ways they used the characters were really cool.
Yeah.
Like, so to give you a weird example of them using characters, I'm not sure how I feel about it, would be when they took all the girls from X2 in the second Kingdom Hearts, and they made them like pixies. So
that was
the
strange.
girls were like pixies. So that was kind of weird. It was like, why did you make that choice? It was neat.
It's a weird crossover.
Yeah. But then, like with with Orin, Orin actually shows up in Hades in the Hercules area,
place,
and he becomes the first. Orin was the first, and I believe only at this point, Square Enix character who becomes an additional playable character. Because otherwise, it's just the extra characters they add are all Disney.
Disney characters.
So Orin's ends up being, and that's a cool character to have.
It's very cool character for sure.
Playable character in the main titles. I think there were other characters that showed up elsewhere, but in the main title, they have the only additional playable character, Orin, who is possibly the coolest character in 10. Maybe am I saying that? And that's a real thing? Or?
That's close to accurate.
I mean, he's pretty cool.
I mean, you got Waka though.
Oh, I like Waka a lot.
And you got Titus.
In my opinion,
and
I think
Kamari.
I think next, and mind you, I know 7. I'm gonna talk 7 just because I love 7, but I feel like the characters are most interesting to me from 10 since 7. For me. Well, no, that's not true. I love 9. 9 has great characters too, but underappreciated characters, I think.
But 10 has like 4 essential characters. Four essential characters. You have Tidus and Yuna. You have Auron, and then. Just say a name, and I'll go with it.
Waka. Lulu.
Seymour.
Seymour.
I was trying to think of Seymour, because he's the antagonist. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, what I was going to say is David Boreanaz does the voice of Squall.
Really?
And Hayden Panettiere does the voice of... what is her name in this? Kyrie.
There's some interesting actors. And then what they brought... what's the voice of Hades in...
I know.
His last name Wood? Is his last
James
name?
Wood.
James Wood.
They actually bring James... Because James Wood is one of those actors who's like, yeah, I'll be Hades in the Disney movies, but I want to always be Hades' voice, always. So he'll just come... And not that he's like the most popular actor in Hollywood, but he's very loyal to always being Hades' voice, which has been great for the character because...
It's such a funny character.
Correct.
Yeah.
I would say in a movie that is kind of like... almost like I want to say, in spirit, a Aladdin knockoff film. You know, I like Hercules, but it was an attempt to kind of relive some of the magic of Aladdin. But I think Hades is by far the coolest character in that movie. And I think it shows because out of all the characters from that movie who kind of continues to show up in Disney and stuff like that, his role as a villain continues to get repeated throughout stuff. So even when you don't see Hercules, even when you don't see Megara,
Hades just shows up for some reason.
It's like, hey, Hades.
I mean, he's
cool.
Like
he's very cool.
The boss of hell.
Fair enough. So,
I mean,
I'm going to show up when I want.
Like, why not have Hades? You
so
know?
if all the other villains show up and they don't invite him to walk in and be like, what the hell, guys? What the hell?
Yeah. Look at that. That wasn't planned. that was a thing of beauty.
Most of the Disney characters in the game were the original voice actors, unless they had like died.
Or, some of the old ones maybe not so much.
Yeah. I mean, Ed Wynn is not going to come and voice, the White Rabbit. Or no, was he Mad Hatter? Might have been the same guy.
Maybe.
Had to fact check that.
What was the other one?
Everybody listening, fact check that. Our fact checkers, as we dub them.
Are you a fact checker?
So no. One more note. Great music. Next.
It did have really good music.
It was some of the best.
Yeah, definitely some really good stuff. And because it takes some of the spin from the music from the actual movies and stuff. Halloween Town stuff.
It does the Little Mermaid theme, but not annoyingly.
But that's not totally true, because remember the Little Mermaid in the second game, it was all a rhythm-based game.
But the first one.
Did you like? Oh, I liked Little Mermaid in the first Kingdom Hearts, but the second game when it became like a rhythm-based game.
Anything rhythm-based, I just quit.
I went like this. Here, Marcy.
Nope.
This will be fun for you. You can be a part of this game. And she just played through all the Little Mermaid stages.
Well, good for her.
I never touched one of them.
Nice.
That's good.
I never touched the Little Mermaid. I swear.
I'd never do it again.
Except for NES, maybe.
Brandon just sat in a corner and like repeatedly summoned Chicken Little.
Yes.
Let's go, buddy. Let's go.
That is how he talked.
Yeah.
Nice. I never saw it, so it's.
Me neither.
Chicken Little was a summon in the second game.
Yeah.
There you go. You know who wasn't?
Weird summon.
You know who is also a summon?
Segue me.
Summoning is a character from my next game.
That's right. You wouldn't have known this if I didn't have a note in the thing about it.
Wait, do you write his segues for him?
Brian Husky, Segway Rider.
Segway Rider fact checker.
That's why they're so awesome. You know, I can't think of this shit on my own. So, The Lion King, Super Nintendo. Yes. The better version, because a lot of people say that the Genesis version for this is better.
But now it was all the same company though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's just how it played on the different software.
I just liked the visual one. I thought it was brighter.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit smoother and stuff like that. But it's just the thing that always stood out for me about this game
is the wildebeest level
with the monkey. Well, not the
No,
yeah, well that as well. But when that little monkey maze, we had to have Simba being tossed around everywhere.
Yeah.
Man,
also hard.
yeah,
Also hard.
it was hard because you had to go a certain way, and I always messed up. Always.
Now, who was this one created by?
I don't know.
I'll look it up.
Is it Virgin?
I feel like it's Virgin because
Virgin did a lot of the
very well
games.
could have been Virgin Interactive. Yeah, very well.
I know for a long time the Capcom games, Disney made a lot of the Capcom made a lot of Disney games. And then towards the end they kind of sucked, so Virgin took over. And
I can kind of see like the
did all
loading
the best
screen.
ones.
I think it is when like Pumbaa comes out or Timon comes out. He's like,
Yeah.
it begins. He just starts like
Virgin
the game
really-
starts out like that.
Virgin really took over and made better games for Disney games later on in the history of Disney video games.
Yeah.
Like especially around the Aladdin generation.
Yeah.
Virgin really picked up the pace and
I mean, when you consider the amount of
he's not
Disney
hearing me
games,
at all.
what? Sorry.
No, I said
That's proving the point.
Nothing. We'll hold on till you get to that point in the podcast because I know that one's on the list. Yep, I got a nod.
Maybe not. So like for all the Disney games that were like out there, Lion King actually like to me was not that difficult of a game. There were
really? Think so?
There were some parts and like certain levels that were difficult, but overall it was a relatively simple game.
Yeah.
There were certain parts like you said, like the monkey part, where it was like this is a real pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And the elephant graveyard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It had like the geysers, didn't it?
Yeah, like everything before you became like adult Simba, like when he was just a little cub, like those levels were much harder than like the second half of the game.
So the deal is with like a lot of those games, like the Virgin games, I as I understand, a lot of the same developers were the guys who went on to do like the Earthworm Jim games and stuff like that. Or
Yes, they were.
Maybe it was vice versa. I can't remember which one came first, the Earthworm or the Lion.
But
But
Virgin, and then they went on to do
Yes,
Shiny,
okay.
so then Earthworm Jim.
So the deal is they had this idea where like stuff was a little bit more abstract as far as level design. So it was hard sometimes when you're like going around the elephant graveyard and you're like, what is ground?
Which way do I
Yeah.
go?
Like,
Yeah.
what's a platform? I can't quite tell.
The
And same thing
foreground
with
and the
Aladdin.
background
I mean,
are like the same thing.
Yeah.
So like you're looking at really what is a cave, but you're just like, that's a wall. I can't go there, so I backtrack for 10 minutes.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and it was neat. They were trying out some new things with level design. Unfortunately, it's like unless it's one of those things where you just start jumping off of cliffs, hoping that certain things are platforms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But really fun game, great soundtrack. For that one.
Very good soundtrack, and just the overall look of it. I thought it was compared to other like Disney games that are like looks like they're being rushed, like to be pushed out when like the movie's out and to capitalize on the
Correct.
hype on it. This game was actually, it looks like it took its time. It was very well done,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of fun. So, and it's surprising that like a Super Nintendo game made it on my because I never owned a Super Nintendo, so I played these games over at a friend's house and much later down the road. So I didn't play it when it first came out.
What I'm guessing is that your friend with the Super Nintendo was also a Disney fan because it seems like most of your Disney games you've played have been on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you didn't have those because you were playing Echo.
It's very nice to assume that I had friends growing up, so I really appreciate
I
that.
always give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it's very nice to you. I appreciate that.
At that point, you didn't have Little Mermaid for Genesis, so they were still showing up at your house.
I didn't just roll up with that soundtrack on my boombox, like blasting. Bow, bow, out.
Actually, your version sounded way better than the real version.
It did, yeah.
Appreciate that. Maybe
Yeah.
I should contact him, see if I can redo it.
Trendsetter.
Please
Do
do.
like a collaborative effort with
Please
somebody.
do. Or like, I will redo it for free as long as you go back and burn every existing copy.
Redo this track, just leave out the bands.
Yeah, that was really easy. All we did was delete one track.
All we do is delete the bow.
Yeah. Just cut and paste from the actual movie and just put it in there.
I like it.
Legit. See that?
That's what I was going to ask. Is like a good soundtrack to a Disney game based on how much you like the music from the show or the movie? Or
I think a lot of times,
is it just that it's not annoying? Like
I think when it comes to something where it's like a new version of an old song, like something that showed up, I think number one, it has to be a good song in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, if you're pulling a bad song, it's maybe you can make it better, maybe. but I think if you can work with, and Matt probably can comment more on this, but if you work with the the instrument, the synths, and all that stuff, and you're able to do it justice or make it better. That kind of makes it good. And then sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Obviously, in Little Mermaid, it didn't.
Yeah, no, I mean, and Little Mermaid, I'm also not a fan of the movie or the music in it. So, but like Lion King, you have like some freedom to do some things with it, but you can't really mess it up to make it like horrible. Like it's obvious Little Mermaid, the dude listening to it was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna put this in here. Like I literally, like I would like to send him like, tell me your thought process for this. Like what? Like I can understand.
He's probably in like a nursing home now. He's like this.
I think
older
it's supposed to be
gentleman.
the steel drum, but they just couldn't replicate it on the NES.
But I mean, even if they and that was the case, but why is it so loud? Like why wouldn't you turn it down like halfway and then it would flow?
Because this is one of the games that you were talking about where they did rush it.
Yep.
To do in time with the movie.
That actually might be true. And
They just found some dude in the street banging on a can. He's like, you're perfect. We need you for the soundtrack.
now. This has to be
We need you now.
Shouldn't we
we
adjust
got
the volume,
5
sir?
minutes.
No time.
We got
The
5
guy
minutes.
just runs it with a microphone right next to the can. And that's how music was created back in the day, kids.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a weird one just because of the fact I can't believe we're still talking about Little Mermaid. It's like 3 different
Keeps
segments. of
showing
show.
up.
But it is weird that, like, you think of the how much better Genesis, all the capabilities Genesis had with sound over the NES, and yet NES had much better soundtrack than the Genesis one. So weird.
Yeah.
So
and
weird.
they're very different sounding. Like if
Yeah.
you listen to The Lion King on Genesis and Super Nintendo, very distinct differences.
Would you like? I mean, no, that this is going to be hard for you to think back to that, but the sound. Would you say you'd prefer the soundtrack on Genesis or Super Nintendo? Or
Super Nintendo.
I mean, there's a nostalgia level there too because that's the one.
But I mean, it's more clear. You know, it sounded closer to the movie than Genesis did. You know, Genesis sounded like it was just they added some like effects, and I was just like.
Now, would you say you usually prefer Genesis or Super Nintendo music to like the sound of Super Nintendo over Genesis?
If they're the same game, yeah, most of the time,
Really?
yeah, I'll prefer Super Nintendo. But I mean, there's some Genesis games that have amazing soundtracks.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But like movies or games when they come out for both consoles, yeah, I usually always prefer the Super Nintendo version. Yeah,
That's super interesting.
yeah. I like to keep it interesting.
Yeah, I was like, I don't have any other comments other than that's just interesting.
I like both of you.
We like you as well.
That's awesome.
Sega, Super Nintendo.
Just flip a coin. They're both awesome.
I have
They're
students,
both good systems.
For those of you who don't know, I have a day job where I'm a teacher, and I have students who do the old Xbox PlayStation debate, which is it's so fun listening to them because you're like, man, we did the exact same thing with the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, we
Genesis.
had it.
It's such a silly. It's
It
such
is.
a
It
silly
absolutely
argument.
is.
I understand because I mean I've done it, but it's just like when you look at like we're all just gamers. Like why does it matter?
Yeah.
If you're a PC
Well, I had a
gamer
kid-
or Xbox or PlayStation, like it's just we all enjoy the same game. You're just playing. You're playing this console because your friends happen to have this console. If you had an Xbox. If your friends had Xbox,
Yeah.
it'd be totally different. You know,
Yeah.
like you'd be an Xbox.
I had a
fan.
kid say he can't play Xbox because he can't look at the graphics, and I go, I like pulled up like Burger Time for the NES, and I'm like, this is what I played.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'll bring up Tron Deadly
I'm
Disc.
sorry you can't.
Let him take a look at that.
I'm sorry you can't handle the Xbox One graphics. This is what I played.
Yeah, that's a little out of control. Because I mean,
Kids.
yeah,
Kids.
exactly. Well, just imagine what it's going to be like in 20 years.
It's gonna be the same
You
thing.
know,
It's just gonna be.
it's just. I mean, I'm afraid to see what graphics are going to be like.
They're
then.
like, I can't even extend your Xbox Hollow Droid graphics.
I have 3 games for the PS4, and I don't have a PS4.
That's not bad.
I think I have 3 games for the PS4 as well.
I was totally. I don't have a Xbox
You
One
have
or
one.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't play them. So
Yeah,
I'm just like,
I don't have an Xbox One or a PS4, and if I get Kingdom Hearts, I'm probably just gonna buy it and come over to Matt's house.
True.
it's true.
So
I just recently got a game, Until Dawn, that Brian and I are going to start doing little playthroughs of. So
cool.
For
So-
October,
Cool.
spoopy month.
I really don't have time to play video games, so I'll just watch you guys play video games.
Sure you
fine.
do. You go
We're
home,
making time.
play an hour before bed. You always got time. Just got to pick your
My
priorities.
wife tells me I have to hang out with her.
Well,
First off, he can't complain about this because I know he's married too, and you're married too. So we all
Jamie,
know
can I
this.
play Overwatch? No. Guys, I can't get on tonight. I'm busy.
no, Jamie's just like, are you going to leave me alone? I'm going to go watch Supergirl in the bedroom and you play your Overwatch. Like, done. She's obsessed with Supergirl now.
Really?
Yeah.
Which is just mind-boggling.
Well,
Really?
because in Grey's Anatomy, her favorite character was killed off, and she's in the show as the main character. So that's like, She's super
I haven't
excited
seen
that
Supergirl,
character.
so I don't know anything. You know, and I know a ton about Supergirl. I just haven't watched the show.
Yeah.
Super filthy.
Really?
I mean, it's not for me.
Oh.
It's for people who like Bones and
Well,
Buffy.
no, and I get that, but here's the thing.
Which are awesome people.
But here's the thing, I get it. Like, I love The Flash and I love Green Arrow, but the shows aren't enough to keep me going.
Yeah.
I totally appreciate that people like that stuff. And
Yeah.
I think that's something that's happened as I've gotten older. I've started to just appreciate fan culture, even if it's something that doesn't necessarily appeal
You know
to
what
me.
it was, though? For me, it was that I started watching Arrow, and I was like, okay, Arrow's really cool. And then they brought on The Flash, and The Flash did the exact same thing that Arrow did, but with, like, younger people.
And better?
And I would say, like, funnier, so yeah, better for me.
Yeah.
But then Supergirl is like, they doubled back on it. They're like, Flash is too silly. Let's up the drama stuff that
Oh,
we did
really?
on Arrow and just do it's the same setup. They have like an underground bunker. They have a black dude in charge of the logistics. They have a nerdy girl that's in charge. It's just the same cast. Like, it's just.
I know it's interesting. I watched Gotham, and I think that show was much more interesting at the beginning when it was more about the mob.
Well, it was more
stuff.
about the enemies.
And a lot of people disagree with me on this. Then it became more about they started to create the supervillains, and I find myself less interested now that it's about the supervillains because it seems like it's making itself trying to be more like Arrow and more like Flash.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked it with the mob stuff, and now the show's kind of like, oh, I just hope it gets better. But none of these are Disney properties, so who even cares in the end?
Disney did just buy them all out.
Yeah, that's going to happen someday. They're just waiting. Disney's waiting. They're like, as soon as Universal builds something in the park, let's buy it up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm waiting for them to do at Nintendo. They're like, okay, Universal's doing stuff with Nintendo. Wait 2 years. Just wait.
We're going to wait until a Supergirl game comes out, and then we'll do a fireside chat on it and see if your opinion of the show changes.
Or we
It
could-
won't.
Yeah. It's one of those.
Or we just go back and play Blizzard's Death and the Return of Superman.
There you go. Oh. Good soundtrack, though, for that game.
It's a very good
hard
soundtrack.
game, though.
Yeah.
Well, we're moving on to our number 2. Getting close to the end of this list. Brian's got a game here that I want to sing, but I won't because I already sang at the beginning of the podcast.
No,
There's
why
a
don't you
one
just go
sing
ahead
limit.
and do it?
There's a one sing limit.
I didn't put that on him.
I
looked
did.
at you for the rules, and he's like, I don't know.
I'm hoping people are still listening, so whoever's left, I don't want to
enough.
scare off.
Fair enough.
I wish I had pulled up the computer sung version of it. It's like these two gum shoes.
Nice.
Like, what the heck?
Boom, 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 boom.
Chip and Dale,
Boom,
Rescue
boom, boom,
Rangers,
boom,
Chip
boom,
and
boom.
Dale, Rescue Rangers.
I was just making fart noises. I didn't know what part I had. I'm sorry.
That's your choice? That's a good choice.
It's just my
This
go-to.
game's super fun.
That's a hella good
Super
choice.
Oh, what Chippendales Rescue Rangers? A
Yeah.
fart noise.
Well, the
Both?
fourth is, yeah, but both were actually.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite.
Why choose in life?
Why choose in life? Yeah, that's not my favorite. What are you saying?
I mean, you can have farts and fart
I can have both.
noises and the game.
I just
And
make
you can-
fart noises while I
and-
play the game.
And you can play as Chip or Dale.
This
so
is true.
Segue into the gameplay.
I liked it.
And both have very distinct, unique abilities and movement patterns.
I didn't notice that when I was young because I was stupid.
They don't.
Okay, I was gonna say like it's nothing I
just
ever
aesthetics,
picked up on.
that's it.
Bart has it for the play choice, and it's just so fun playing on an arcade machine.
The Bart?
Yeah.
Oh, they have it on the.
They
on
have
the
it.
Cavs?
They have it on a play choice. So the Nintendo Play Choice, you
Nice.
can play. Just
I didn't realize this was like an arcade.
well, Nintendo Play Choice. So it's it's all Nintendo games that got put onto that you can put on the machine. So
It's
cool.
very cool.
Yeah.
And those chipmunks are really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can pick
just
up
like
apples.
lifting up these like giant things, and like there's a robot dog, and they're just like, yeah, box.
Yeah,
Or no, they put the box over them. The dog runs into the box, and the dog dies.
Such a freaking good.
I love
game.
jumping
That
over
was a
like
good game. I liked it.
over the power lines, the electricity that's going like back and forth and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Just all the different areas you went through in this game. It was a really fun game.
And
really
then-
fun game.
Then you got the zipper power up, and Zipper would just fly
Yes.
around knocking people
Yeah,
out.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It wasn't
That's
like
right.
Mario where you just like invincible. Zipper would just be like, nope.
You're not invincible. He is.
I was
Yeah,
like, why
he's
wou-
invincible.
Why wouldn't you stay with me the whole time?
Yeah.
Come on.
Remember
He
that
gets
episode
tired.
of the
He's a
show
fly.
where Zipper went crazy and killed everybody?
Monterey Jack's just lying on his back, and Zipper bursts out of his stomach.
That's the deleted episode that was never aired.
Cronky.
Wow.
And that was such a good game. That one actually had a sequel that came out much later in the
Yeah.
console. And I think it's actually one of those ones that's kind of expensive to buy. Like
Oh,
nowadays,
really?
Because it showed up again later in the NES console, probably once the Super Nintendo had already come out.
Yeah.
And so many of those games just jumped up in price.
Did that game have a 2-player mode where you could play as both? Or was
Yeah,
it
right? You could play
I think
as
so.
Chip and Dale.
At the same
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
It wasn't
I
like
wasn't sure if
Mousecapade.
I wasn't
It
sure if it went
like
back and
Mousecapade.
forth.
No, it wasn't like
No.
Mousecapade. That would have been a pain in the butt.
Yeah, because the screen would end too, so like you couldn't go back. You know,
Right,
so, like,
right.
The two people would just progress, and like Double Dragon, when you had like your partner and you're like progressing, and the partner's like, "There's life back here." No.
I needed that. Thanks.
Yeah.
No, I don't care. I
You
didn't
did
need
that
it.
raw chicken that was just laying next to a trash can.
And I never knew what you were picking up, like as Chip and Dale. There's like those little flower cards. I had no idea what those are for.
Yeah.
It's to get a 1-up,
Yeah.
but
you
it was
connect a
never
certain
like
amount.
explicitly told to me as a
Right.
child.
Well, that's, as Matt always says, is retro video games.
Yeah.
Not always an
We're going to throw
explanation.
these items in. You got to figure it out what
Just
it
figure
is.
it out. It's the only game you're getting for the next 8 months.
You
can
just have to
figure it
listen
out.
for that. Brr, brr, brr. Yeah, like, I guess that means I got a
I
1-up.
guess I got 100. I don't know.
I did something good.
That's a. Did you play as Chip or Dale? Do you remember?
I do not remember. I like the hat though. I like the hat and the jacket. I was
Yeah.
not old enough to appreciate the Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
Dale
did.
was the idiot, and I didn't want to be like
Yeah.
the idiot.
I was the same.
you
But
know,
it's, what
like Chip's cool.
it's Indiana Jones and Magnum PI
yeah,
teaming up.
Yeah.
That's
Which
what
one
they
are
are.
you?
They're like,
Duh.
hey, this show is going to be. I mean, I swear these guys, again, it's one of those cases where these people were just like high out of their minds. They're like,
Yeah.
Disney, we need a new show. Chip and Dale, one's Indiana Jones, the other one's Magnum PI.
I would just put a bunch of rats in a bleach carton and put balloons on it, and
That
they'll
was-
fly around the city.
That was great for kids, right? They're flying around in a container of bleach.
I liked that though.
Like it's a balloon and they're sitting in the bleach. They're dying the whole time.
Yeah, just like it's science. It's just high.
Yeah. Exactly what happened. She was not, yeah. Exactly what happened.
Hard game too.
It is a hard
It's one of
game,
those
but-
games that got progressively harder as you went through it,
Yeah.
not like other Disney
True, but it
games.
keeps it pretty gratifying throughout. And that's
Yeah.
that's the big thing for those games we remember the best. They're always the ones. Yes, they're hard, but at least you kept it fun. You kept
Yeah.
it fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's like, so like to point out an example of that when you got to like a split in the stage, you had Fat Cat talking to you, or you had like one of the other characters talking to you, like engaging you.
Yeah.
In Toy Story, when you completed a stage, you had the frickin' Etch-a-Sketch telling you what to do next.
Yeah.
I was just like, where did that go? Like,
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah.
I don't like how the Etch-a-Sketch could actually like had a life of its own. Like it wasn't like doesn't seem like the type of toy that should be like talking to me.
He's very,
Yeah.
very toy racist.
Well, even Woody uses it as a tool, you know, doesn't he?
true.
He doesn't like hold it and he's like, like
Oh,
Oh
all
yeah,
the
he
little
might.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But would you say that goes same for the Mr.
Lenny.
the Mr. Speak and Spell? Because
The thing is like,
Oh,
come here,
Lenny's
Lenny,
here.
I got to use you. All right, get out of here. And just like throws him down.
yeah, that's true.
So
I think that doesn't have
maybe
a
it's the
face.
problem with Woody.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Woody is. It's fair to say he's a flawed character in the film.
he's kind of a bigot.
Yes. We don't need no physicists, spacemen.
Starman here.
No, go back to your own planet.
Laser toys. What is this?
To infinity and beyond. You.
Thanks, Buzz.
Actually, after Matt's impression, I do agree with Woody now. Send him back.
Get out of here.
Laser beams. Woo!
Laser beam. Well, good choice. I like
Thanks,
Chip and
dude.
Dale.
That's a great choice.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, naked men are always a plus, right?
That's
Chip
true.
and Dale's.
And what does it say about
Yes.
Which came first, the chipmunk or the nudists?
I'm
think
going to
chipmunks.
guess chipmunks because I can't see Disney naming two rodents after a place where men get naked.
To be fair, they're not spelled the same.
It's true.
So,
True.
And you
Let's
notice,
make it a draw.
and notice that majority of these picks are retro. What does that say about modern Disney games? Is it just we haven't played them, or do modern Disney games just kind of stink?
I can't even think of like.
Well, you know what? It was supposed to be that Epic Mickey was supposed to turn around
Yeah.
Disney games, and
Yeah.
they couldn't get. You know, I'm working on a project where we were actually just discussing this. They couldn't get the gameplay aspects, the camera angles, and all that stuff to work well enough. So by the time the second game came around, fans were like, "You didn't fix the problems of the first game,"
Yeah.
so they just gave up. But it's really interesting what they had planned for like the Epic Mickey games. They were going to have racing games. They were going to have Epic Donald, Epic Mickey 3. There was a whole bunch of proposed games that were supposed to come out that never will see light because the second game sold about a quarter of what the first
original
game did. And for many would say it's a better game, but I think fans were just like, well, you still didn't fix stuff that, simple game aspects. Yes, they added a multiplayer feature, which was very exciting,
Yeah.
but you didn't fix the initial problem, so we're just not interested in continuing.
The problem with Disney now is like Frozen. You know, they have like really good properties, So when they try to do something like Epic Mickey and like they compare the two, they're just like, well, Frozen sold more, so we'll just do more Frozen.
But they had Disney Infinity, and now that's ending.
Yeah.
So
which is amazing to me.
yeah. But the thing is, they're just not. They don't understand how video games work. It's not a they're looking at how much money can we make in a short amount of time selling all these figures to the point where we over market this thing, and then people don't want to play it or buy these things anymore.
Yeah.
And I think Disney's best. In video games, Disney's best when they let other people handle their IPs.
Capcom,
they want to control stuff.
Virgin.
Like Capcom did an awesome job,
Yep.
and the Kingdom Hearts. I mean, you
Square.
have to admit,
Yeah.
Square does a phenomenal job with their IP, with the Disney IPs, and I still think the ideas behind Epic Mickey were totally great.
Right. I would have liked to have checked it out.
But then, with like I said, they didn't get the sales they needed, and then with Disney Infinity, I mean, they cashed in on it as quick as they could, and then bailed as soon as it was no longer profitable. And
That's all, folks.
that's kind of unfortunately
no,
that's kind of
that's
a Disney
Porky
thing.
Pig.
They do require. Sorry, but Porky Pig was in Roger Rabbit.
But that was like all of them.
That was a save.
Thank you. I'll just take it. Yep, Porky Pig, Disney,
Everybody's like, I'm living on a high note. Good night, everybody.
Is there a Roger Rabbit game?
There is. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. There
NES.
was.
It's
I remember you
for the
telling me about
NES,
it.
yeah.
That's
Horrible.
right.
It's
There's
really
just a
bad.
bunch of cab driving.
One of my
right?
favorite endings to a movie too, I should say,
Very good ending.
where it's
They bust down the wall.
That's all, folks, and then all of a sudden Tinkerbell comes out and because Disney.
I didn't realize that's what
it
you
was
meant.
Still, it was still Porky. It was in the film. It's supposed to be when Porky Pig first discovers his "That's all, folks." So at the end, he goes, "Get out!" Everybody. The movie's
Yeah,
over, blah, blah,
he's
get
just a
that,
cop
that's all,
and he's-
folks. And he's like, "Wait a second.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that. That's all, folks." And then Disney obviously can't let the Warner
Brothers have the upper hand,
So
yeah.
all of a sudden Tinkerbell comes out and be like, "Bink, see you later.
Yeah.
I'm the last one. Outie,
Peace.
peace, yeah, peace."
That
Thank
song
you.
they sing at the end, though.
Smile, darn ya, smile.
Yeah, something like that.
It's like it's really.
Smile after smile, right?
I think it's smart. I think the song's actually called "Smile, Darn Ya, Smile." I'm not
Who's
even kidding.
darn
you.
ya?
Like darn you.
Darn you! Oh, darn you!
So darn
Smile.
Y-A. I
It was
I
the
could be wrong on
villain
this.
to the second movie that never got made.
Darn ya.
Darn ya!
Darn ya, you better smile.
I'll
Very
never do
dark
it.
Book. Like I'm
I'll
very
never do it.
surprised that two cartoon conglomerates got together to make that detective.
And that's what
novel.
made it. And I think
was
actually that's
great.
what made the film because
Yeah.
it could have been a really good film, but for them to actually say, "Hey, we got Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse in the same film," was I think what really solidified it as a cinema classic. And certainly it's fair to say that it's lost a lot of its momentum in the past couple of years. One of the reasons why I'm sorry, I'm going into the Disney rant here, which is why you asked me on the show. But one of the reasons why you don't see as much Roger Rabbit stuff is because Spielberg kind of had a little bit of creative control over the property. So anything that was created, Roger Rabbit, because he was the producer on it, he had a little bit of a say in. So Disney wanted to take the character and do so much more, do an animated series, do all this stuff, and he wasn't interested in pursuing it.
Spielberg, come
Because their ideas that they had there weren't up to his standard.
on. Right.
And he wanted to be involved in whatever level. So that's why you have characters like Bonkers.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen the television show Bonkers, it came out as a Disney tune that came out much later.
He was a police.
Originally, he's a
cheetah.
cartoon. Yeah, he's a crazy cartoon character that solves crimes in Toontown and stuff like that, which sounds so much Roger Rabbit-y.
Yeah.
Because originally the concept
It's
could have
supposed to
been
be-
Roger Rabbit, and they said, "Oh, okay. Well, if we don't have full control over this IP, this Roger Rabbit character, then we're going to create our own character. He's going to be just as good." He wasn't as good.
He wasn't as. I mean, he's kind of funny.
He was funny, but he wasn't
that
as good.
fat cop that they teamed him up with was pretty funny.
Yes, and then later on, the fat cop left, and then the
Did
guy-
he really?
And then it was a young girl for a while.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Wink,
Not enough
wink.
marsupilami today.
Marsupilami. That's the second high five you get on the show.
Nice. I'm just racking these
Marsupilami
in.
says, "Oopa,
Oopa. I liked him. He was
He was
cute.
like a.
I feel like I'm on the episode.
He was
of
another
Pokemon.
cheetah. He just had a
No,
longer
he
tail.
was like a. He was like a.
He was a marsupilami.
marsupial of some sort. Yeah, and he was like a monkey that was colored like a leopard.
Yeah, and he had a really long tail.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was the Disney generation, the Disney afternoon stuff that did not hit it as big as say Tailspin.
Yeah. Goop Troop. I love it.
He's really getting,
Permanently touched Brandon's hand.
he's impressing me tonight.
Maybe
So,
maybe you guys should start a Disney podcast.
yes. And maybe I should have more time in my life to do everything I want
You
to
can
do.
just come over here and record once a week.
Matt, did you have a number 2? I'm so sorry.
I did, but it's really not going to even touch the awesome discussion that you guys just had. So I'll just
Okay, there's our goal to make it as awesome.
Quackshot for the Sega
Okay,
Genesis.
first off, Quackshot's awesome.
Yeah.
I know.
It
For
actually,
sure.
after playing it, it actually rivals DuckTales, which is
It is a
as
really
you know,
fun
is my
game.
favorite.
Yeah.
Quackshot is awesome.
I just wish it was about hockey. I really do.
Yeah.
It would have been cool if there was like a mini game on there where you were taking shots at quacks and stuff.
Yeah.
That'd have been funny. Like,
Well, that was another thing.
just ducks walking around.
Going after doctors.
I mean, out of any game that features the Duck Crew, I think that's probably one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very similar in terms of how it's played to DuckTales.
DuckTales, just
You
better
know, you sort of
graphics.
have a world map where you have multiple locations to go to.
Yeah.
You're searching for treasure, and you're trying to acquire it on. You have to. I mean, you didn't have to backtrack as much in DuckTales except for like Transylvania. You had to go
Yeah.
back there, but in this game, there's a lot of back and forth. You know, when you got to, I think Mexico, you got the plunger that let you climb walls, and you went back to the first area. And then you got the popcorn gun and the bubble gun that let you go and break walls and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun. Lot of fun. The Viking like ghost ship like stage was just probably my favorite in that whole game.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Viking ghost ships are good.
Yeah.
You know where there's another Viking ghost ship?
World of Warcraft.
That's right. We got to run that dungeon.
Do it right now.
No, you got to be 110.
Thanks for. Oh.
Do you guys want to give me your last two choices so I can just do the podcast?
Brian, Brandon, I'll just give you my list.
See ya.
But
You know where
no.
they brought that plunger gun again in another duck-related Disney game.
Was it Maui Mallard? Cold Shadow Duck.
I
and
never
Cold Shadow?
played that, but it was
Matt
it was
got
the
his first
DuckTales,
high five.
the DuckTales game, because he got a plunger and he climb walls with it.
And the new one?
No, that old. No, I'm sorry, DuckTales, Darkwing Duck.
Oh, Darkwing
Darkwing
Duck.
Duck.
Okay.
Darkwing
Yes,
Duck.
yes,
Which
yes.
was another great game.
Another
Just
great
played,
game.
Looked like it played just like Mega Man.
Yeah.
Because
No,
he just shoots things.
absolutely. Yeah, it was stage layouts and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
With a lot of ladders you go up to the next.
Which-
next everything. Yeah. Very Mega Man-ish.
Controversial issue. I'm just going to bring it up on the show real quick. I'm not sure if
Darkwing
you,
Duck.
We're all about
no, absolutely.
controversy.
It's a controversial issue about Darkwing Duck that is relevant, as in it just happened recently. That has been a buzz all over the internet. Have you guys heard this news that the creator of Darkwing Duck says that DuckTales and Darkwing Duck do not take place in the same universe?
They have to.
Fans revolted, and they proved him wrong.
They have to. They must.
It was awesome. It was awesome that a creator said something and fans said, nope, and we'll prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Because,
That's pretty cool.
you know, you have obviously Launchpad, who's in both.
Is in both.
But he said in his mind it was just a parallel Duck verse where this is what Launchpad did in this. But then I guess fans actually came out and cited a whole episode where Felton Crackshell, who is Gizmo Duck, shows up on the
Yeah.
show, and they talk about working for Scrooge McDuck and all this
and-
stuff. So it was like this whole thing. It was really,
I thought
really
the
interesting.
nephews were even in one of the episodes.
I don't know, but it was like that was what they referenced was they actually referenced how he used to have this job for Scrooge McDuck. So it's so awesome that you have the creator or something who's like, nah, I never really envisioned him. It's supposed to be different universes, and they're like, nope, you're wrong. You actually proved yourself wrong.
That was probably all like a setup. He's just like, I need people to get into my shows again and my NES game.
Suckers, we got you.
Gotcha.
Like, what's the?
Blu-ray coming out on.
Let's just say there's like a DC equivalent to that, like where all the multiverse, right?
Correct,
Like
correct.
you can't do that with ducks.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
guess the reason he had said like how the other Disney afternoon shows don't necessarily fit in with one another, like Blue and his gang in
Tailspin.
Tailspin are in a separate universe that's much more like,
It's just
30.
Miami. It's just like
but it's much more
It
30.
is, yeah,
It
it
looks
is.
like the 1930s and stuff like that, so it doesn't fit in with the
but,
DuckTales.
But
franchise.
Darkwing Duck is just like a noir,
Correct. So
a
yes.
noir crusader.
Oh, so now you're
kinda
seeing
guy.
there's a connection there. I mean, quite possibly. But then, like, you look at Chip and Dale, and they're like smaller creatures that live in a world where the humans are in charge, and the animals can't communicate with the humans, and all.
Yeah.
So I guess in their mind, like all these Disney.
We're
afternoon
getting to
stuff,
that whole Pixar.
I would
theory
connect them all.
of all the connections.
We should actually write a theory for Disney Afternoon Theory and be like,
Disney
you're wrong.
Afternoon Theory.
The fans have proven that they control the media once it's created. So
If
there.
we can link Toontown and Duckburg,
Yeah.
Duckburg.
Yeah.
That's all we have to do. And
I
then
think if you
everything.
could link Toontown and Waterworld, that would be awesome.
How?
Tailspin was almost in a water world kind of
True.
setting, but it was
True.
more like Miami.
True. Okay. He's already
See, you already got your cogs working.
Yeah.
He's really
Clockwork.
Brian's really good to you.
He is.
Like, there's no reason he had to put any effort into that, and within 30 seconds time, he already had like it set up.
That's why he's my buddy.
I just like driving up the time on the podcast.
We're sitting at 3 hours.
That's going to turn this into a two-parter.
No way. This is gold, Jerry, gold. So, speaking of gold, it has nothing to do with our number ones, but our choices for number one are freaking gold.
You just made me forget my number one. Oh, okay. I got it now.
The setup is all ruined.
I got it now.
I rescind all high fives.
So, super drum roll for Brian's Disney top one game. Ching.
Aladdin for Genesis.
Yay!
Yay! It's a total lie.
You jerk. I hate you.
Preemptive hug.
No, but we did talk about it, and I was going to actually go for Aladdin on Genesis, but I never owned it, so I never owned either
You were
Aladdin
just
game.
going to pick it for me? Wow, you were
I was just going to fight for Brandon.
You are far too nice for people.
But I think the Jungle Book, the video game, is even more controversial to that point that you have with Aladdin, because there are 6 versions of the Jungle Book game.
No crap.
Yeah, there's an NES version, there's like
Super
2
Nintendo
Game
one,
Boy,
right?
there's Super
the only one
Nintendo,
I've
Genesis,
Super
Mega
Nintendo.
Drive, and then like a Game Boy Advance one that they did when they released Jungle Book 2.
Which is crazy to think about because there's a movie that was created many, many years ago before.
Exactly. Like, so not only did Jungle Book, they took a really old movie and made it like a newer game out of it in the 90s, but then
Made 6 of them.
when Jungle Book 2 came out, like they just like brought it up again, and did it for the
It's
Game Boy
crazy.
Advance. So very, very crazy. And it is by Virgin. And
Yeah.
then, like those people left to do Earthworm Jim. And that's what I like about the Jungle Book game is it plays like Earthworm Jim, like almost
Yeah.
to a T.
Nice.
Except instead of
Remotely,
the gun, he just shoots bananas.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Which is like it's it's a little quirky, but like I loved it. And it was,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just fun. Like we're talking about the music, like the music from the Jungle Book. I really like those songs. Like Jungle Book's probably another
Yeah.
one of my favorites. And getting to hear all those like done all funny, like 3
Yeah.
stages of I want to be like you is just like.
Is that the song that has the bare necessities?
Is that the movie that has bare necessities?
Yeah. I've never seen Jungle Book. Like I have never seen it.
Well,
So.
I certainly can loan it to you. And I know at some point your daughter's going to make through all the Disney movies, but if you get a chance to see,
Sorry,
if you get a
Love
chance
it.
to see,
Finally,
if you
somebody
get a
else
chance
other
to
than
see
me.
the live action version, like
very good.
I don't hold live action Disney live action. Well, first off, I should say this: as a
Too
Dis-
worried animals are going to die, and I can't see
that's
it.
exactly what I was worried about.
2 of them do.
But you knew that going into it. But,
Yeah. You knew. I mean, because
That's
we've
why I
seen
would
it.
avoid it. So
But
Don't show it.
it is kind of sad now that I think
They
about
do
it.
show a wolf getting thrown off a cliff.
Now I am kind of sad thinking about it. This kind of really took me down.
Oh, sorry.
So, but I will say this: as a Disney fan, I'm very blatant about Disney live action movies in general. I don't love Disney live action movies for the most part. There are a handful of them I really love, and some of them are called
Maleficent.
classics. Tron, I really love, and I can understand why people can't stand that movie or can't sit to that movie, but I really love those movies.
yeah, I like Tron a lot.
But they've been doing this thing lately where they've taken old classics and bringing them back, and some have been hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jungle Book
Cinderella.
was a big hit. If you get a chance to see Jungle Book, the live action version, that's been my favorite of the live action reinterpretations that the Disney company has done.
It's really, really cool. Plus, it has Christopher Walken as a giant monkey.
Nice.
So,
And
Nice.
oh yes,
Plus.
yes,
And
that
Bill
was
Murray
Bill
as
Murray
Baloo.
Oh,
and Kevin Feige is the director, right? The
the
Iron Man guy, the
Oh.
director from Iron Man and all these.
sorry,
movies.
you said Feige, and I
Feige?
thought
Feige?
Feige.
Feige?
and
Kevin
it's the
Feige?
Ghostbusters.
No, I don't.
It's not the same guy.
You know what I mean? The guy who did that, and he's envisioning a trilogy for Jungle Book.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't see that, but
Well, the books.
I also
go,
never read the books.
Yeah,
so.
the books go much longer.
Yeah.
This one pretty much covered what you would have seen
In the cartoon.
in the cartoon version of it,
Or in
but
the
books.
game.
The books actually go much longer. So
I didn't know there was a Jungle Book book.
Yeah, it's based. all,
it's called the Jungle Book.
what,
Rescind high fives from him as well.
Hey,
We're
it's
all
all right.
starting at a zero.
shutting down the podcast now.
I didn't know there was a Jungle Book fuck? Can
All
that
of the old Disney movies are
Thank you,
based
ladies
on
and gentlemen. I'll be here all night.
Can
I'll
you
be here all
include that
night.
in the description for this particular podcast?
I didn't know there
And
was.
Matt realizes there was a Jungle Book.
Matt'll put it in.
That'll be the title. Jungle Book book? Question mark.
I wish there was like a camera. You guys need to set up a camera this because I would have been more interested in seeing Brian in my face when he said that. We're like, it's called the Jungle Book.
Like I earnestly wanted to support him, but then I was like,
I got nothing.
it's called book for a reason.
Yeah,
I didn't realize there was a scary
I'm not very
movie
bright.
movie.
What do you want? I'm not very bright. So
Did you know there was a scary movie?
it was a movie too.
All I want to say about
I
the
don't know how we
Jungle
come
Book,
back from that. That's awesome.
I'm trying. Is that there's like my favorite scene in the movie is when they're singing Bare Necessities and Mowgli's like floating down the river on Baloo, and that would have made a really good game stage.
Oh, they didn't have it?
They don't have it. You climb up a waterfall, which is one of the most aggravating stages. But they could have had you floating down and like the monkeys are trying to grab Mowgli like they do in the movie, and you collect the fruits and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say the prickly pears and all that.
Yeah. But none of that. Like Baloo shows up once, Bagheera shows up once. Just like the end of stage marker.
Weird.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, they don't do enough with that. Like you could have had the stage where you like ride Bagheera, or you're running with the wolves, like all this cool stuff that they could have done that they didn't.
That's surprising.
But still, it's my number one, so it beat Kingdom Hearts somehow.
Nice.
No, that was a good one. Brian's always pretty good at pulling ones out. Like I feel like he always surprises me at the top of his list. Like,
Thanks.
wouldn't even have thought of that. You always got to be original.
Yeah, I like it.
I like this. I rented it 5 times from Blockbuster.
That's why we're in the top 10 of iTunes video game top 5 podcasts.
That's right. Top 10.
We keep it fresh, and we keep it G.
You don't keep it very G.
Not anymore.
No.
Gaming just gets you too frustrated. But not my number one.
There we go. You ever hold your breath for a segue?
How is he gonna? What unintelligent thing is he gonna say? My number one is Aladdin on the Super Nintendo. Emphasis.
Just kidding. It's what?
On Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
I love Capcom.
I like
By the
Capcom.
way, and I love Aladdin.
I like Aladdin.
Great game. Great movie.
Very
flawless
whitewashed
game.
Arabians in Aladdin.
Yeah.
I like Capcom. I like Aladdin.
I like apples. They throw a lot of
A
apples.
lot
in
of
the game.
apples.
I like-
Apples and bananas are top.
Yeah.
Top ones.
Yeah.
I like apples. I like toilet
Tigers?
water.
How do you feel about tigers?
I like toilet water.
But I
Toilet
wouldn't eat
waters.
them together.
No. Bobbing for apples out of a toilet, out of the question for you? Okay.
Yeah, Matt and I have kind of a disagreement on which one we like better, and it's so weird because for those of you, again, we mentioned it before. He owned the Genesis. I owned a Super Nintendo,
And we like the other versions.
Yeah.
and I am a huge Capcom fan. And Matt spent a long time as a virgin.
That's true.
Oh.
Yep.
Very
So-
good.
Very,
That was-
very true.
that was
So-
hefty.
34 years.
So, wait a minute. I'm not good at math, but for whatever reason, I pick Aladdin for Genesis, and he picks Aladdin for Super Nintendo. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Which one's the one with the magic carpet?
I know,
Oh, Super Nintendo has the magic carpet.
and I
you fly
believe
on.
Genesis does as well. So
Which
maybe-
is the one with the
But I think
red gems?
I think Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
I will say this: I think the Super Nintendo Magic Carpet is better. I do remember that.
Yeah. And the Genie stage is better. The graphics are better. The controls are better.
I wouldn't agree that the Genie
music-
stage is better, but
Which voiced the better genie? Robin Williams or Dan Castellaneta?
please don't ask that. I love the other guy, but he's not a better Genie.
Did you know that?
Who's Robin Williams? Just,
Oh, whoa!
just kidding. No, Robin Williams is clutch.
Yeah.
You ain't never had a friend like me. Pew!
By the way, he didn't voice the Genie in either game, so.
No, because he didn't have a. What, did he?
But to be fair, very cool mini game where in between levels on the Genesis version where you can chop apples with a boo.
Chop
Yeah.
apples with the what?
With a boo and a sword.
Boo.
And they didn't have the spin wheel on the Genesis.
They
That's what Super Nintendo
Yeah.
got. That was their version of the mini
Yeah.
game. Was the wheel.
Just very interesting. Like,
In
That-
Genesis, you got a sword to fight with, whereas Super
Yeah.
Nintendo,
Too
you
violent.
just had the apples. He never had a sword. He didn't run through the city with a sword chopping stuff.
Mowgli never threw
gonna find-
bananas at a bunch of monkeys and snakes, but
He might have in the books.
I haven't read it, so
wait, they're
maybe.
books?
Read the Jungle Book. So yeah, that's my number one. One of my favorite
It's a
Disney
good choice.
movies,
No.
and definitely my favorite. I mean, I played the snot out of this game, man. I
Capcom had
played it so much.
Capcom had an incredible run on Disney games,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't. I wish they'd show up in like virtual consoles and stuff like that because going back, I mean, I loved the new DuckTales, the new one they came out with.
Yeah.
But I'd love to have the original, and they haven't released it for like. So you can play
for
it
like the
you know,
virtual console.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can download them on your computer and stuff like that way. But I'm always surprised they haven't worked with Disney and said, "Hey, can we release these games for virtual console or something like that?"
Yeah.
You know,
Do
Or
like
3D version.
the
for
NES,
3DS
do
would
like
be
an
cool.
NES remix style,
Oh.
do like a Disney remix style.
Disney,
just have
Disney
game?
Capcom remix. That'd be amazing.
That'd be
really cool.
pretty money.
But
on
I
their
have to
part.
say, you both have very, very impressive lists.
Thank you. We
I-
both had some ones out of left field on there, which I like.
Yes.
You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
so definitely.
And as far as Disney goes, I think it's interesting that outside of the games, I mean, you guys have different experience in the films that you enjoy and the films that you've seen, really.
Mhm.
So I think it's kind of neat.
Who's your favorite Aladdin character?
I actually got a lot of Abu merchandise, but actually Jafar was my favorite. I always had
Jafar.
because we actually collected the action figures. I had 3 different Jafar action figures, I believe. No, wait, maybe that was Jeff's. I don't know. Maybe Jeff was a Jafar. I can't tell.
I like Genie.
Yeah,
I
Genie's
like Tiago.
Yeah, it goes cool. There was a movie where it just had phenomenal characters all the way through, and
Yeah, it did.
cast perfectly too.
Stop pulling my tail. Whoa.
Is that Abu?
That was my Diego.
Sounded a lot like Popeye.
Diego?
That was my impression of him.
Sounded a lot like
Iago.
Popeye.
Iago.
Yeah. I don't know what it sounded like.
So, but yeah, you guys did an awesome job. It's a really
Thanks.
stellar list.
Thank you. Do you have any honorable mentions that you want to throw on this list?
Oh gosh, Disney games. Actually, you
could pick
pretty
two.
much covered. Wow. Yeah. No. I mean, DuckTales obviously didn't make it on the list, and that to me is
Yeah.
I would have, but we talk about it so much.
such a beautiful game, and not a very long game either.
And I wanted to
especially
bash
if you
Toy Story, so.
That's a horrible reason to put it in there.
I wanted people to know that I like the movie better.
You know, I don't know. Yeah, you guys really covered
When you
it.
think about it, you got Mickey Speedway USA.
Yeah, no,
you
there's
got,
a lot of stuff. Bugs Life came out with a game for PlayStation that actually
Hercules. I mean,
actually
you had
the Bugs Life game actually became a greatest hits. So, but it came out early in the PlayStation system.
What they were scrambling to
was like,
fill
hey,
up their
it's one of
greatest
those
hits library.
Well, I think, and it was just so early. I think they didn't have a ton of games. So, like, I bought the Bugs Life game. Yeah.
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 So, but I mean, just you guys covered it really well.
Thank you.
Matt mentioned Maui Mallard, where it's another game.
Mad
with
Mountain
Donald.
Cold Shadow. Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
going to be an honorable
And that
mention.
was actually just for you guys, since you're always interested in music.
And we had the what's the Mickey game that we did the flash play on?
Castle of Illusion.
Castle of Illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the
Yeah.
Mickey game that were really really fun.
Yeah.
But I was going to say the Maui Mallard game was one of the first games, but really the first anything that Michael Giacchino, the film.
Lost.
The film composer.
Yeah.
Actually, he composed the
Did
music
he
for that
really?
game. Isn't that crazy? I saw him talk once, and I brought the game with me just in case because I just thought that'd be wicked cool to get it signed.
That
But
is
he,
crazy.
I mean, this guy, he went on to do like The Incredibles, which was a huge thing in his career. That actually made his career, was the soundtrack for The Incredibles, which is a phenomenal
Yeah.
soundtrack. And he, that was a game he composed for. So
Like Uematsu and 3D World Runner.
yes,
Like
just
that
me-
one guy who did Shaq Fu.
Like the one guy who did Shaq Fu, who's being brought back for the Shaq Fu new game.
the music, the composer.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
crap.
Dude, as I'm saying, those Shaq Fu drinks, we got to compare that to the original,
right.
original Shaq
right.
Fu. So why don't you go ahead and plug your channel before I do our little
Yeah.
closeout?
Oh yeah, so I'm Brandon Specht, Retro Spectrum.
Nice to
if
meet
If
you.
you get it, if you go look it on Retro_Spectrum on YouTube, search me up. We do a variety of different series: Indie Orlando, In Search of Buffalo. So we got those local.
Well, it's a
things.
new video you put out for that is awesome.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Buffalo
Thank you,
one.
thank you. We do Indie in the parks, or Indie Orlando in the parks. We do Details, where we talk about all things Disney related, and one of our newer series, which is Game War Grub, which I do alongside Matt, where we compare retro video games to junk food, two of our favorite things. So if any of those things interest you, please check out the channel. And if you're here locally in the Florida area in the November timeframe, preferably the 11th through the 13th, come out to Free Play Florida and play some video games and play some pinball and actually have a pinball video game overdose.
You will not be disappointed. It's going to be a good time. A lot of good stuff on there.
And that is my plug.
Anything you
That's
want
a
to
good
say before we cheese and rice it out of here?
You didn't want to plug our stuff?
That's good too. And Cast Revive will also be at Free Play of Florida.
Thanks, Brandon. I'm glad someone's looking out for us.
Yeah,
also
see,
be a
if
free
it
play-
wasn't for Brian, I probably wouldn't even hit record. I'd have been talking this whole time. And I'm like, all right.
You know what, guys? I hate to say this, but that's been off this whole time.
No.
I'm dead serious.
Really?
No.
Oh.
You jerk.
I was going to say that's it. We're not redoing it.
Did anyone have a cold wash over their face? Yeah, I did. I was like, all of a sudden I went white.
Yes.
Like, oh, crap.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
It's happened twice before.
I
It's
tricked
only,
myself.
when I'm on here.
So go ahead and look us up on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Cash Revive. Shoot us an email at cashrevive@gmail.com. Find us on Geek Street Station. We're on there with our sister podcast, For Geek's Sake, and Prince Ali and the Thirsty Gamers. And yeah, we have articles. Brian writes food reviews for video games and stuff
Not
on there,
lately.
which is but he has several of them on there, and they're fantastic.
I'm gonna write one about Mowgli throwing bananas.
Well, I do those speed letters. It's supposed to come out once a month. I think I've done one in like 4 months, so I need to get out on that as well. But I'm not a writer, so it doesn't really matter. So anyway, thank you guys very much for listening. And Brian, what do you want to say before we cheese and rice it on out of this piece?
You've set it up for both of us.
All right. Well, we'll see if Brian has anything else for you to say next week when we're back for our start of our October month, which is going to get hella creepy. See you next week.
Like it.